How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the 15th episode of Critically Incorrect. I am joined today by Charlie and Justin, as always. If you both wanted to say hi.
Hey, what's
Hello.
up?
And yeah, just a pretty cool, exciting episode today, talking about state of play and quite a bit of PlayStation news, I'd say. But first, as always, I want to talk about what we've been playing for the past week. So, Justin, I guess you could start off with what you've been playing.
Yeah, sure. All right. Let's see. I've been playing a bit of Rocket League, cause I'm like in this esports tournament at my school. So basically, I signed up for Rocket League with one of my schoolmates, and yeah, we had 2 games for that. We lost both. Everyone is so good in the tournament, so I don't know. We just signed up for fun, but yeah. I also went back to some Fall Guys, played a bit of that. And like yeah, there's like they added so many like different variations to all the maps, and like yeah, it's just crazy now. There's like every map that we played before, like it's just so different than what it used to be.
Okay.
But yeah, nonetheless it's still pretty fun. Other than that, I tried out Call of Duty. Um yeah, it's just more the same, you know, like is the update like when's the update? Is it out
Update
already,
just
or?
came out, I think.
just
I want to
came
say
out.
last night?
Wait,
Okay,
what's
'cause
this?
I played a bit yesterday. I don't even know if I
The
don't
new Call of
remember
Duty season.
I don't
Oh
know if
yeah,
the new
yeah.
update.
It was this morning, yeah.
Okay.
Or
Yeah.
last
Okay,
night
then
for you guys.
I haven't seen the new update yet, but yeah, I just played Call of Duty the past few days. And yeah, a bit more of Mortal Kombat 11 on my Switch. Somehow I haven't finished it yet. I don't know, like I can't for some reason I can't play that game for like more than an hour at a time. So I just like played for like an hour, finished one chapter and stop. Uh, so yeah, I gotta finish that this week. But yeah, that's pretty much been it for me.
Right on. Charlie?
This week I haven't played a ton of like single player stuff. It's mainly been multiplayer. I did like the final few challenges I had left on the Black Ops like Battle Pass, so I just got like the last few things on that. And played a bit of the new season today. It's pretty cool. The new zombies mode is a lot of fun. So if you like zombies, I really recommend that. I haven't played too much of Warzone yet. I don't think they've changed too much yet. I know there's meant to be like a new map or something in a few weeks. So that's pretty cool. And then I actually reinstalled Battlefield 4 last week. Me and my mate have been playing that for a bit on PC. Just because we've been wanting to play first-person shooters recently, and there's nothing really that grabbed our attention up until like COD. So we reinstalled that. It's still got so many players, such a fun game to dive back into. I really can't wait for Battlefield 6. So it's been fun diving back into that. And then just more like Apex, and I've been playing quite a bit of League as well because the season like pass type thing ends I think next week. So I've just been playing more of that. But yeah, that's about it.
Right on. This past week I haven't been playing too much just because I'm busy with work and school. I played, like usual, I play like an hour or two of Bloodborne with Zach every week. We've been trying to do a stream every week, although we're skipping this week. Let's see. I've played a lot more on my Switch lately. I say a lot more. I usually just play for like 15 minutes, 20 minutes before I go to sleep. I don't know. Just because I'm usually at my desk a lot, either doing homework or, just anything else regarding schoolwork or something like that I've actually been using my Switch a lot more because it allows me to like get away from my desk and, go somewhere else in my house and play something. So I got 3D World and I'm played for like the first few levels of that. I've also went back to Animal Crossing and been trying to just continue on that journey as well. And then I think I played a few levels of Mario Galaxy as well. So a lot of Mario and Animal Crossing, I guess you could say. I say a lot. I probably played like a total of an hour in the past week, just spread out in like little 15-minute intervals like that. So yeah, that's been pretty much it for me. It's been pretty uneventful. I played like an hour of Valheim today with Charlie. Yeah, I'm hoping to play more, but just been really busy lately. So yeah. Anyways, I want to recommend or, remind you rather to ask for questions or any topics like that for next week's episode. Make sure to leave that either in the comment section down below or in our Discord. And yeah, with that being said, releases this week. Bravely Default 2 comes out tomorrow as of recording this on Friday. As you're watching this already has come out. Again, that's for the Nintendo Switch. And then as well as Call of Duty just got its new season this week. So yeah, not too bad. Anyways, we're recording this literally like I want to say half an hour after the state of play. So it kind of seems natural to talk about what we just watched. All three of us were on a call, so we were there for the whole entire thing. I guess first of all, we'll go through the announcements, right? So they had 10 games. They announced this before. Notable ones, they announced a new game called Sifu. This is like a really cool, Charlie mentioned this during the stream, it reminds me of Sleeping Dogs. Definitely pretty interesting new game that's coming to PS4 and PS5. Final Fantasy VII Remakes, new PS5 edition was finally got revealed. This was like rumored for like the past few days. It's called Intergrand. That's coming out the 10th of June, so a little farther than we expected. Notable that that's going to be a free upgrade unless you want the extra episode that they've also is going to come out with that release, which I don't think they've said pricing so far. I could be wrong, but that will just drop with the game as well. So yeah, that's going to be coming out in June. And Kenna also got a release date. We thought this was going to be out in March, but yeah, sadly it was delayed till August. So quite a big delay since, it was initially supposed to be a launch title for the PS5, so a bit of time there. Oddworld got a new trailer. That's going to be coming out for free on PS Plus for April, despite we don't know what's next month's March game is going to be yet. But yeah, other than that, it was like mainly like another look at Returnal, another look at Five Nights at Freddy's. Deathloop will look really cool, but yeah, ultimately, I guess I'll ask you guys what your initial thoughts are on the state of play. I think a lot of us have generally the same thoughts, but yeah, what are your guys' thoughts on the state of play?
I think I'm a bit more positive than maybe you guys are. I went into it with literally no expectations other than seeing Final Fantasy VII Remake in some form. That was the only kind of thing I thought we'd see. Even then, I did think it was going to be the PS Plus game, because there was a lot of rumors going around that it was going to be free with this PS5 update. Since the March PS Plus games didn't get announced yesterday, we're recording this on a Thursday. They didn't get announced yesterday like they normally do. So everyone assumed we would get that today's state of play, but we didn't. So that's kind of odd. I think for me, the most surprising one there, at first didn't wow me because I didn't know who the devs were. But Sifu looks really cool. It's like a hand-to-hand melee combat kind of thing. I did notice when I was looking at it afterwards, the dev actually is the guys who made Absolver. If anyone remembers that,
I mentioned that during stream. Ago. I said the Ubisoft.
Oh, did you?
Game.
Okay.
Yeah, and it.
Yeah. But yeah, Absolver came out 2018. I want to say 2017, something like that. I think it was on PS Plus, right, or something like that.
Eventually.
Yeah. I remember that had really cool combat, but it was super overcomplicated and it had PvP because it was kind of Souls kind of thing. I never really got into it, but the combat was always kind of cool. So I'm interested to see what this turns out to be because it kind of looks like a third person beat 'em up style game. But yeah, the designs of the areas and stuff, it looks like Japan, Yakuza kind of Sleeping Dog style stuff, so that really interests me. And Oddworld being free is pretty cool. But then there was a few little things seeing Crash 4 again, didn't really need to see that. Seeing Returnal again after getting a trailer a couple of days ago, didn't really need to see that again. So yeah, it wasn't the best, but also there was some cool stuff there. But yeah.
Justin?
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't say I was disappointed or anything. I wasn't really expecting too much anyways. We knew this showcase wasn't really meant to focus on, the big I guess big exclusives and stuff like that. It was, they did say it was just going to be mainly updates and stuff on third party and indie games. Yeah, like Charlie said, I don't know what, with Crash, they opened with that. I was just okay, I don't think many people really care about this, because they already talked about it beforehand. And Returnal as well, we literally got a trailer 2 days ago. So I don't know, we really didn't need to see it again. I feel we've seen a fair amount of that game by now, that we don't need to see it again at a showcase really. What else? I don't know, games like Oddworld, I guess they wanted to announce that it was going to be free on PS Plus, but like I don't know, we've seen that game at like every showcase, and it's just like I know that every time that game pops up, like just no one seems to be interested. Like the whole Twitch chat is like everyone is like just seems like they're sleeping, like they don't care. But yeah, I don't know. There's like a few cool things like that I did like Sifu looked cool, and obviously Kena was the one. I guess that was the game that I was most interested in. And yeah, once again, that trailer just showed that like I'm like, all right, yeah, I like this totally looks right up my alley, and I'm definitely gonna get this game when it comes out. I'm a little disappointed that it did like it's coming out in August now instead of like the rumored March, just because like all those rumored or all those games that we thought were gonna come out in March. There's really only It Takes Two now that I'm looking forward to in March, when there was gonna be a lot beforehand. But yeah, nonetheless, like it was it was fine. Definitely not like the showcase wasn't bad or anything like that.
Yeah, so my thoughts on it. Like on one hand, like I don't know, it's like weird. So I was more impressed in certain areas and then disappointed in other areas. Like first of all, they didn't mention any first party updates, so I realistically didn't expect much. I thought maybe we could see Ratchet there, but turns out we got another look at Returnal, which I found was a little odd. So like that was a little odd, as well as like Crash 4, which we already knew about. They just showed us gameplay of it, I guess. Besides that, I really like the games themselves that were shown. Like Deathloop looks really cool. That new trailer looks really good. Totally looks up my alley. That's coming out really soon that I'm looking forward to playing. Let's see here. Kenna looked really cool, even though it is a bit later. That still looks really cool. Oddworld, that's cool. That's going to be on PS Plus, so I'm definitely going to pick that up in April and try that out. Definitely looks up my alley. But things like Five Nights at Freddy's, I didn't really find any interesting. Sifu was really cool. That one definitely has caught my eye. That I'm looking forward to playing whenever that comes out this year. What they ended on Final Fantasy VII Remake, which I expected was going to be the like probably one of the locks of this event because it's been rumored for a while, and I even mentioned in my video we're coming up on the 1-year anniversary. A bit later, but it definitely looks really cool. I'm definitely glad it's free for all PS5 owners, at least the upgrade part. So even though it's not a PS Plus game, it's still going to be free essentially, which is nice. The new episode doesn't, like, I don't know, based on the trailer, I gotta rewatch it. It doesn't interest me too much, but I'll definitely play it because Final Fantasy VII Remake is one of my favorite games of last year. So it just gives me extra content to play for the gameplay and all that. So yeah, that's definitely an exciting announcement. But yeah, I just agree with both of you. I think they showed a lot of updates on games that I didn't really care to see updates on. I think this would have been a pretty good state of play if we just saw Ratchet, but now more than ever, I feel like that's going to have its own state of play, similar to Ghost and Last of Us Part 2, just because it's coming out in June and we haven't seen it yet. So yeah, that's kind of my predictions there. So yeah, not too bad.
We forgot to mention as well, Solar Ash was also shown off, like gameplay-wise for the first time, which looks pretty interesting from the guys who did Hyper Light Drifter, which I still need to play. But that looked cool as well. No date on it though, so
yeah, I'd say probably Solar Ash, Kenna, and Deathloop are like my 3 favorite games. Sifu as well, probably. So maybe make it 4.
Yeah.
Interesting enough, I was mentioning this on stream. Final Fantasy VII Remake literally comes out a day before Ratchet, so I don't know when I'll play that, but it'll certainly be after Ratchet. And yeah, besides that, yeah, I didn't really expect too much. I still obviously want to see factions because obviously my channel is built upon my origins, at least on Naughty Dog multiplayer games. So we'll eventually see that, I imagine. Factions. The thing about that is it's probably going to be announced and then released pretty quickly afterwards. So it's just kind of the nature of that game. So yes, we shall move on. Next news story comes from Blizzard, actually. So they had a online BlizzCon. I think this was like the day after we recorded last week's episode. It was on a Friday. Not much really came out of that besides Diablo 2 Remastered. That was like the main announcement. So yeah, one announcement, but one very exciting announcement, obviously. If you don't know, Diablo 2 is essentially, I'd say probably the favorite out of all Diablo games, hands down. And the remaster definitely looks really cool. They showed off more of Overwatch 2 in terms of like behind the scenes gameplay videos, as well as we saw an extra look at Diablo 4 with, I believe, the Hunter class. So some cool announcements there if you're looking forward to any of those games. Any thoughts on this in particular?
I'm interested in Diablo 2. I really enjoyed Diablo 3 on Switch. I'd never played it on PC. But because of this Diablo 2 remaster, they've got like a bundle with Diablo 3, so I ended up getting that. Just because I think it made Diablo 3 with DLC like $20, which is like not bad at all really for what you get. So I forgot to say, but yeah, I've played a little bit of that this week. And Diablo 4 looks really cool. Same with Overwatch 2, it looked pretty good. It's a shame we don't know when those games are coming out. Like, we don't even know if they're next year. They literally mentioned nothing about dates. But yeah, I just think it's Blizzard have got a really weird situation going on at the moment, so it's kind of to be expected. They don't give dates and stuff. Also, interestingly, with Diablo 2, it is being made by mainly by Vicarious Visions. So this seems like one of the main reasons they merged with Blizzard, like last month, I think it was, right?
Yeah.
So this is kind of the first project they're doing alongside Blizzard. But it sounds like they are going to be remaining there for good. It's just this is the kind of precursor to them joining. So
Yeah, it's also worth noting, I think we mentioned like a week or two ago about Activision having a remaster or more remasters this year. So
Yeah.
this is clearly one of them. They said, I think, remasters, so we'll probably see another one sometime later this year. And yeah, I'm guessing you didn't have any thoughts on this, Justin, so we'll move on.
No, yeah, you can move on.
For sure. Anyways, BioWare had some interesting updates as of today. We mentioned a few weeks ago that Anthem was up in the air as EA was reviewing, Anthem Next or Anthem 2.0. The decision that came out of that was announced today, and they're not going to be continuing it. The team over that was working on Anthem Next is now going to be moving over to the next Dragon Age project. So yeah, it's sad to see because obviously these devs were working on it, I think, since like 2019. So like the last 2 years essentially just got canceled, and now they got to start, fresh on a new game, which sucks. But yeah, definitely a bummer there. We didn't know what Anthem Next was going to be. It would have been cool to find that out, but obviously we never will see that. I think the next news story actually has a lot to do with this, and that's with Dragon Age 4. Essentially, Jason Schreier reported on this earlier today. Because of Anthem's failure and because of Jedi Fallen Order succeeding so well as a single-player game, Dragon Age 4 will be a strictly single-player RPG, which is really nice to see. Obviously, all these RPG games, or at least a lot of them, tend to be having some side of, games as a service elements. I mean, look at Anthem and look at like half the games that get announced every year that are these kind of RPGs, right? So it's at least nice to know that, Dragon Age 4, they're going to be allowed to keep it strictly offline and single player as it really should be given that game. So pretty exciting news stories there. Charlie, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it sucks. I really would have liked to have seen what they were working on. I played Anthem a couple times before launch, and I always thought the core gameplay was pretty cool. Like the flying mechanics and shooting was all solid, and it was great foundations for a game, but the game itself just wasn't there. Like, it was so clear that the devs just didn't know really what they wanted to do with it. And I think BioWare were just a conflicted studio. They didn't really want to do, like, a games as a service type thing. And EA were just kind of forcing their hand and being forced to use Frostbite and all this other kind of stuff. It's not great. I think it's good to see that Frostbite doesn't seem to be forced on them anymore. So hopefully Dragon Age and Mass Effect can be on whatever engine they want it to be, which would be great to see. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if in a couple of years we end up seeing footage of Anthem 2.0. I'm sure it's the kind of thing, it'll just leak one day. Some dev will just be like, I want people to see what I worked on, for 2 years of my life. Here's some little clips, because I feel like it would have been crazy different. There was some concept art of all this kind of cool stuff they were working on, and it looked really intriguing, because it would have been such a big overhaul for the gameplay and plot and all this kind of stuff. I think it would have been really cool to see, so it's a shame it never got to happen. But yeah, hopefully it means that in the long run, BioWare can survive with Dragon Age and stuff, and it'll make those games better in the long run. So
yeah, now they got the new Dragon Age and a new Mass Effect, so it'll be interesting to see. I imagine Mass Effect will be a single player game, just like Dragon Age will be. So
yeah,
seems like they're gonna be heads down, busy with those two projects, and yeah, looking forward to both of those, definitely. So that'll be cool to see. Justin, any thoughts on Anthem being canceled and Dragon Age 4 being confirmed for single player?
Yeah. I mean, like, you guys know me. I'm not really the biggest guy. I'm not the biggest fan of like games as a service, right? So, like, I don't know. Anthem never really appealed to me too much, right? So obviously, I never really tried that game. Um, so I don't know. The fact that it's canceled, I really don't care that much. But yeah, I don't like. I think that how they can like now that they're basically putting their focus on Dragon Age and Mass Effect. I think that's actually good for them because they did a lot, like what their work previously on Mass Effect was quite good. So yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to see like what they do in the future with Dragon Age and Mass Effect. And yeah, I honestly personally wasn't I didn't care too much for Anthem. So yeah.
Right on. Well, in tradition of us always talking about Cyberpunk 2077 or CD Projekt Red, it's, in good faith that we deliver some more news to you all that Cyberpunk's latest patch has been pushed out of February. The main reason given was because of the hack, so this is kind of understandable. It seems like CD Projekt Red's going through pretty extreme measures, well, kind of reasonable given the exploitation that happened to them. Essentially, a piece came out earlier this week just detailing, from CD Projekt Red that they're not going to be delivering on this patch in due time. I believe more information broke out after that the developers are actually going to like some pretty big lengths, like as shipping off their PCs to the company to get it checked for malware and all that. So it seems like they're going through a pretty rough time over there, just making sure that all the information that, they have on them is getting reported to the authorities, as it turns out the employee's information was leaked in terms of like bank information and personal information. So very, very shitty, but yeah, completely understandable if you're in the comment section saying where's the next patch. Like, there's something wrong with you. They have way bigger issues right now, and I'm sure we'll see that probably sometime next month or something like that. So just an update on that. Guess there's nothing really to talk about, so we'll move on. Vampire Masquerade 2 was delayed indefinitely. This one really sucks for me personally because I've actually am looking forward to this game. Fog, one of our friends of the podcast, was trying to get me into the series, and the first one's pretty on the top of my list of my backlog to play on Steam right now, so sucks. This game definitely seems to be in development hell. I'd probably even put this close to like Dying Light 2 at this point, in terms of like similar stories. So essentially, it's getting a massive overhaul in terms of developers. Like, they're switching out the whole entire development team. This game's got pushed back indefinitely, so it's not even hitting this year at all. No idea. They said that they're going to be using the foundation that the previous developer already established, so that's at least good, right? But besides that, it's going to be years before you see this game, trust me. If you're getting a whole new development team that doesn't know the code base and all that, it's going to take a while before they could start getting this ball rolling. So don't expect to see this game for the next few years, I'd say. Very shitty because I know a lot of people are looking forward to this game. Very beloved series. So, Charlie, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, it sucks, but I think it's going to be better for it in the long run. Especially the history with the series. Like, the first game was notorious for being great, but also incredibly broken and buggy. It was the first game other than Half-Life 2 to release on Source. I believe it actually came out just before Half-Life 2. So it was not ready for launch at all. It got rushed out. It wasn't finished. So the fact that they basically saw what these guys at the dev team were doing and said, hey, look, it's not working out. This isn't going to be up to snuff for what we want to release. We're going to have to, give it to somebody else. This actually reminds me a lot of the Metroid Prime 4 situation, where that game was announced. We didn't know a ton about it. And then all of a sudden it was Nintendo weren't happy with the quality of the game. So they said, hey, we're going to have to give it back to Retro to work on. So it's going to be a long time before you hear about it because it's restarting development. I imagine it's similar here, except they are probably going to keep a lot of the assets and stuff. Like, they've done a lot of work on it. It had been at E3.
They've had gameplay trailers. Like, it's been pretty far in development.
Gamescom. Yeah, because it got. I remember it got announced beginning of 2019. I remember being sat in a lecture when it got announced, like, just randomly out of nowhere. So yeah, it was like 2 years ago now. So it's kind of crazy that it's been delayed after this long. But yeah, it sucks. But at the same time, I'm sure when it does eventually come out, it will be good, and hopefully it can please fans. Because I know it is like a game that people have been waiting for a long, long time. So,
Justin, any thoughts, or do you want us to move on?
I mean, I gotta be honest, I didn't even know about this game before you guys mentioned it, so I don't have too many thoughts on the game itself, except for the fact that, like, I don't know, like, a delay is a delay, and then, like, delays are always meant to, it's for the good of the game, right? So,
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure. Anyways, I'll let Charlie introduce this next story because I actually haven't heard anything about this new story as relating to a new PUBG game. So, Charlie, take it away.
yeah, so this one came out today. It's a pretty small story, but basically the guys behind PUBG Mobile are doing a new version of PUBG called New State. It should be coming out pretty soon. It's up for pre-register and stuff. It's like a more futuristic PUBG, so it's using the same kind of mechanics and that kind of thing, but with more futuristic weaponry and a newer map and that kind of thing. This was rumored a few weeks back. Basically, there's a new PUBG mobile game in development, and then there's also meant to be a new one in development for PC and console. So people originally thought that the PC game was the one that was going to get announced first, because apparently that's meant to be sometime this year. But no, the mobile game's coming out first. It actually looks graphically, it looks great for a mobile game, and I've seen a lot of people in the PUBG community asking if potentially we can get this on PC. So maybe this game is eventually also coming out on there, which I'd love to see because I'm a big fan of PUBG, but unfortunately the game is in a terrible state these days. It still has a massive player base on Steam. I think they still keep to like 400,000 concurrent players. Like, it's still like got a ton of people playing, which is cool to see. But nevertheless, it's cool to see them doing stuff with PUBG. So just a small story there.
Right on, right on. This also reminds me, on top of the Final Fantasy VII Intergrand, they announced 2 mobile games for Final Fantasy VII. This was outside of the state of play. Essentially, one of them is Final Fantasy VII Battle Royale. If you would have shown me this trailer, I would have thought it was fan-made, because literally, why would they make a Final Fantasy VII Battle Royale? But it's happening, apparently, so yeah, take that with what you will. And then they also announced Ever Crisis. This is actually a name that was thrown around with possibly being the Final Fantasy VII remake for PS5, but it turns out it's on mobile instead. Essentially, it's just taking Final Fantasy VII and all its side story games as well, combining it into one little neat package for mobile. It looks pretty cool, honestly. It looks like a blend between like modern graphics and, well, not modern graphics, but, decently good graphics and the old retro style of Final Fantasy VII. So definitely go check it out on their Twitter. I personally am looking forward to that because I want to play through some of the old stories, but don't want to have like a PSP or something like that. So definitely some cool information there. Anyways, more sad news stories, except this time it's with Japan Studio. VGC, Video Game Chronicles, as we report probably every week, they have some kind of news story. They reported that Japan Studio is going to be laying off or just kind of winding down production as Sony no longer really sees them as profitable. This story was surprising for me, but then when I thought about it, I also didn't really come across as that surprising. You consider their last few projects, which Japan Studios worked on, are like Knack 2, Gravity Rush, and Ape Escape. They haven't done too much in the past, few years that has really done too much, I'd say. Asobi Team, it's also worth noting before people jump to conclusions, Asobi Team is like a separate entity of Japan Studio. So a lot of the people that are leaving Japan Studio are going to be entering Asobi Team. Asobi Team obviously is the developers behind all the Astrobot games, which are probably their best, I'd say, team at the moment, considering they're coming out with a lot of bangers lately. Let's just say that. And then, yeah, really sucks because obviously a lot of good talent at Japan Studio. Even the producer that worked on Bloodborne alongside From Software left this week, which is very sad to see. It's just the reality of business at the end of the day. What can you say? They're not really profitable, so they're winding down. It actually kind of reminded me of Media Molecule. I hope that doesn't happen to them soon because I feel like Dreams didn't sell that well either. Yeah, it's just business side of things really at the end of the day. Sad to see. So any of you two have any thoughts on the news here?
I mean, I think you covered it pretty good, but like at the end of the day, it is a business, right? And if the studio's not making money for Sony, they're gonna shut them down. Yeah, the games you mentioned, like Knack, Gravity Rush, right? Like, I don't know. I feel like those games, like, they obviously like don't appeal to a super like large audience. They definitely like have their like small fan base, I guess. But in terms of like mass appeal, I don't think it's like really that high. So yeah, I guess like I could see it. Like I guess it's the right thing to do if the studio's not bringing in money, right?
It also sucks because they're like one of the oldest teams at PlayStation as well. They've been around for so long, so just really sucks to see.
Yeah, I think the important thing to note with it though is like it's also not crazy like surprising because literally I think the last title they developed solely was Knack 2. So it's been like 3.5 years since they last released a game of their own. Just because they're winding down first party stuff does not mean that they're not going to help out with titles like they normally do. Obviously, they helped out with Demon Souls and Shadow of the Colossus and plenty of other Sony titles. So they'll still be working on stuff. It's just they're not be doing their own projects, which sucks. But they haven't done their own projects in a while now. So I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of the staff knew this was happening for a while.
Yeah.
I would imagine it had been in talks for a while with Sony. It makes sense. I get it. Especially now that Astrobot is doing so well, they probably want to bring more stuff over to Asobi, which is what they're doing. So it's kind of like a natural transition, really. It does suck, but at the same time, it makes a lot of sense. And like you said, it's a business. So
I think we can all agree the biggest loss here is Knack 3, right? Very shame.
I mean, Knack 3 can still happen. Asobi team can bring it back.
Knack 3 PSVR 2 launch title. Give it. Make it happen. Anyways, another news. Destruction All-Stars, essentially right now it's obviously free on PS Plus for the next, month and a half or so. We didn't know exactly the pricing it was going to be after it got out of the PS Plus window. It was confirmed this week that it's going to be $20, so definitely nice that they learned their lesson and they're not charging $70. How the hell they ever came to the conclusion that $70 was the right price is beyond me, but nonetheless we're past that and the game will be at $20. So I think we can all agree that's probably fair pricing for the game it is. Yeah, it's smart to be on PS Plus obviously, but afterwards $20 isn't too bad of a bullet, although I still don't see that growing the game. It's not a bad price. Anyways, we get into the really good topics. Sony essentially dropped a bunch of random news, I want to say 2 days ago on Tuesday. Essentially out of this we got quite a bit of good information. I'm actually going to go in a different order than what we have listed here. So first of all, they announced that sadly Gran Turismo 7 got delayed to 2022. They cited COVID as this, and I think that we'll probably see this quite a bit this year because if you don't remember, a lot of developers were kind of talking about COVID affecting their teams in terms of games coming out in 2021, but not in games, coming out in 2020. A lot of the stuff that gets affected with COVID is like, things like voice acting is a little bit harder to do. A lot of the creative processes for games that are still, decently midway through their development cycle, not towards the later end. So sadly, Gran Turismo got caught in this. I'm kind of surprised they delayed this early because, we're only in February. So yeah, sucks to see. I'm sure we'll see that game probably in the first half of 2022. Alongside this, they did announce that Days Gone is coming to PC this spring sometime, so I believe it's already, they have a page for Epic Games Store and Steam, which is pretty exciting. They also announced alongside this announcement that more games are going to be coming to PC from PlayStation, so it leaves it up to us to guess on what those games could be. I personally think that, so far we're seeing a new IP trend, right? So we see Days Gone and Horizon. Those are both franchises that started out this generation rather. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see something like a Bloodborne remaster, maybe, or something like that come to PC.
Knack 2.
Knack 2, yeah, perfect. If Knack went to PC, that would be hilarious, and I feel like it'd be overwhelmingly positive. Just for the
They should do it. They should do it, honestly.
And
I think
guess
God of War's the next one. If we want to talk about it, I think God of War is the next title we get on PC. Mainly because I feel like people have been asking for that one in particular for so long. Days Gone is cool, but I don't know how well that one will do because it's not widely praised like Horizon is. I'm trying to think now, like what else they would do. I don't think Spider-Man has a chance of ever going to PC
I feel like they
because
want
that
that
has
as a
done so
console.
well. Yeah,
Yeah, the
I
sub
mean
one.
that still sells great. I mean, God of War still sells well, but you know it's super cheap now, and it's part of PS Plus collection. Spider-Man still sells crazily well. It's now known as like a mascot for Sony, so I would imagine they don't really want that to be on PC, especially because it's like the partnership with Marvel and stuff. I don't really know how that would work. But God of War, I feel like, is a surefire thing, I think, towards the end of the
I
year.
feel like it'll be either God of War or Spider-Man. And the only reason I say Spider-Man is because I feel like there's a bunch of games that were listed on PS Now. It was like Horizon. I want to say Days Gone, Spider-Man, and God of War. I think Lost Legacy maybe as well. So I feel like out of those three games, it would be probably either God of War or
Maybe
Spider-Man.
Uncharted.
Could be Uncharted, yeah.
Uncharted or Last of Us. Yeah,
The only thing is, so far, obviously, we've seen new IPs. We haven't seen their like stapled franchises that everyone knows, like Uncharted and Last of Us or
this is
God of
true,
War
yeah.
yet. So who knows what's next? I feel like Dreams makes the most sense because it didn't sell probably too well on PS4. I feel like it has a bigger market on PC given the nature that it is like a creation tool, right? I feel like the controls will be really nice on PC as well. So that makes the most sense. I feel like that was rumored last year, but we never saw that happen. So that makes the most sense in my opinion for the future of that game and for Media Molecule to stay open. But yeah, yeah, it's exciting. I think that these releases coming to spring or coming to PC makes sense, just because obviously, you know, Sony is a business. They listed on PC. It's essentially double dipping on games they already made. So far, what we have Death Stranding, which I guess you could say is a Kojima game besides PlayStation, but it's just a trend that we're probably going to see going towards the next few years. And also, I essentially, you know, people like Days Gone and they like Horizon. If the sequels get announced for PS5, they're probably going to pick up a PS5. So in a way, it's still selling consoles for them if they get new, you know, people interested in these games. So it's a smart move, and I feel like with God of War Ragnarok coming out, I think Charlie, you might be onto something with God of War being the next one. So
And
yeah,
I still think, like I said previously, I still think when Factions 2 comes out, it could easily come to PC on day one with crossplay.
that'd be cool.
So that's another one I
That
feel
would be
like
cool.
is potential. I don't know. It's a weird one because, like you said, it's like they're double dipping. So would they want to release that same day on PC?
But
But I
then
feel like it
also,
would be a good thing to do. So
I feel like Destruction also is what I went to PC by that same logic because it is a multiplayer
yeah,
game,
true.
but that's only on PS5. So who knows?
Yeah,
It's also worth noting that Jim Ryan kind of essentially like hinted that God of War is not coming out this year. He was just like saying how like some developers choose the approach
yeah.
of delaying games, which works out for them. Some choose to rush it, and we've seen how that can affect, you know, the game's reception. And he said they really choose to do the former. They like to delay their products and make sure they're quality. Yeah, God of War is not coming out this year. If you thought it was, that's like I know for sure that Sony just said that just to get pre-orders up when the PS5s, well, like pre-orders went up like literally what an hour later. It was just a smart marketing move, and we'll probably see Horizon as their big, you know, winter game or fall game for this year. So, yeah. Jim Ryan also said that he feels confident about Returnal, Ratchet and Clank, and Horizon. So I think those three games, not necessarily a lock for this year. I mean, Returnal and Ratchet are for sure coming out this year, but Horizon's looking likely as well. So,
I will say as
yeah.
well, Jason Schreier did go on a Twitter because someone was like, "Well, surely Horizon can get delayed," and he was like, "Well, it's already been delayed."
I was going to say, Horizon 2, I feel like, was probably initially a launch title for PS5.
Yeah, it seems like it was. I mean, that was the rumor for the longest time, right?
Yeah,
So
like people
it
literally, I
makes
think
sense.
literally as Horizon came out, people were like, the sequel is probably going to be a launch title because it just made sense given the time frame.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully we'll see some more of Horizon 2 sometime in the next few months. And yeah. Anyways, probably the most exciting news story, at least for me, this week has been Sony finally talking about PSVR. A lot of people snoozed on this because there was a lot of technical aspects, but I think Charlie and I, for sure, find relief in a lot of the things they said here.
Yeah.
First of all, yeah, it's going to be a single cable headset. That's probably the biggest one. Everything about PSVR, in my opinion, is held back because of the technology in terms of, you know, needing all these cables coming off of the headset that just ruin your experience and also just make it extremely cluttered in your setup. So it's going to be a single cable, which is going to be very nice. It's what I'm currently using on PC. Alongside this, they announced that they're going to be obviously improving across the board in terms of field of view, resolution. The new controllers are going to be using features that we've seen with the DualSense, so I imagine we'll see the triggers and the adaptive haptic feedback come over to the new hand controllers. They mentioned specifically the ergonomics, so I feel like that prototype video that came out around the summertime of last year most likely is going to be coming into fruition with the final product in terms of making it probably something like the Knuckles, where you can lie your hands down and maybe a bit more naturally instead of having to hold this wand that currently is the PS Move. So yeah, a lot of exciting features for PSVR across the board. It's not coming out this year for obvious reasons, but I think it's pretty safe to assume that next year in the fall time we'll probably be seeing it come out, and I'm personally really excited about it. So Charlie and Justin, any thoughts?
I'll let Justin go because I don't know how much you'll have to say about it.
Sure. I mean, like PSVR, like I remember, like especially like when the first PSVR got announced, like that was something I always wanted to get into. I remember I was like really interested in it, and yeah, like I don't know, I just ended up never buying it just because of like as you said, like setting it up and everything. I don't think I have like the room for that. Like especially back then, I didn't have the room to really like set up a PSVR. As long as like also it was quite expensive for me back then, so I ended up not getting it. But yeah, nonetheless, like PSVR, like just virtual reality as a whole is something that I've been interested in for quite a while, and it's quite a shame that I've never tried it. Like I don't know, I've just like never really been able to. Like I remember, I think we talked about it before. Like you said, like I don't know, like go to one of those like demo booths at like stores or something like that and try it out. But we just don't have that here. Like I don't know.
I think
There's
you'll
no
really
stores
like
that have
it
that.
because like
Yeah,
it
I
pushes
wanna
on the
try it.
immersion factor, which you probably really like, obviously, given the games you play, right? So
Yeah.
I feel like it's right up your alley.
Right. Yeah, so like I mean this is still like quite a while away, obviously. But nonetheless I'm definitely interested in it. And as long as they like support it well with good games, I'd definitely be very interested to get one.
Charlie?
Yeah, I'm super excited about it. I know Brandon knows, like, me and Brandon are both big fans of VR. We were both there day one when PSVR came out, and I haven't played too much on my PC VR recently, but I do play occasionally. And, like, I said to Brandon, when they eventually bring out a new PSVR, I probably will get it, just for the fact that they did a great job when PSVR came out at, like, hitting the new tech whilst being a really good price point, and I feel like that's going to happen again with much higher resolutions like they mentioned, the new controllers, which I think is going to be a big deal, a new type of tracking, hopefully not using a camera, it'll all be inside out, like you see on things like the Quest and the Rift S. And yeah, just higher resolutions, the controls. The single cable is great. It would have been nice to see wireless, but also that is quite new tech, and I would imagine would increase the price quite a bit. So I understand why they wouldn't do that. A single cable's still fine. Like my headset uses a cable and stuff, so I have no problem with that. But yeah, overall, it's looking like it will be a really cool piece of tech. I know a lot of people online were complaining, like, why would you announce this if you're not going to show off the headset? And I think me and Brandon spoke about this, like, it's not because they want to show off the headset and sell it to you right now. It's because they want to reassure people that they are still in the VR market. We haven't really seen the new VR announcements for PlayStation for a while now. And that's because, they were winding down development on those headsets. At this point in time, most PC VR games don't come out on PSVR anymore, purely because PC VR has outstretched the console, VR space now. So a new headset needed to happen. This was more just them saying, hey, we are working on it. Don't worry, we're still doing VR more than ever. I think launch is going to be great for it. It's going to be a great time to buy the headset. There'll probably be a ton of games. I think I said this to Brandon. I think day one we see Half-Life Alyx on PSVR 2 or whatever it ends up being, which would be great. They've spoke about in the past that they're open to try bringing it to PlayStation. It was obvious they'd never be able to do it on PS4 with PSVR, but definitely on PS5 with a new headset and controllers. I know, I think Brand, you shared with me, there was like a tweet and Shuhei liked it about Alyx coming to PSVR. So I think that would be a great one to have day one. I think a new Astrobot game is most likely going to happen. They're usually day one with every piece of new tech. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a great step for VR. Hopefully, hits that good price point as well.
Yeah, it's a great announcement. I know a few friends of mine that were interested in PSVR, but they've been holding off for like the last year or so because of the inevitable PSVR 2, right? So I've always recommended them to wait, and then now it's nice to be able to pinpoint an exact announcement. I think next fall is going to be a great time to get into VR because currently, like, it's going to be a great middle ground, I think. So obviously, all you'll need is just a PS5 and PSVR 2, which in comparison to like having a Valve Index and a big enough PC or more powerful enough PC to run those games, it's going to get up to close to $2,000 probably. It's nice to just have the PS5, the single cable, and the headset. I definitely like a lot of things about PSVR compared to PC VR. I think that the headset's still the most comfortable headset I've worn. So having that mixed with the actual technology of a single cable and better, controllers for hand tracking and hopefully the removal of a camera alongside the power of the PS5, it's going to be such a big jump going from PSVR to 1 and 2. It's going to be like 2 generations almost because you're improving the system and you're also improving the headset like drastically. So it's going to be a very exciting time. They say more information coming later this year, so hopefully we'll at least hear about the specs of the system. So hopefully we'll know about the field of view, the render resolution, all that. So yeah, just very exciting. I think this information mattered more than like what the headset looks like because the single cable is huge. Hearing about these advancements in terms of the controllers using the DualSense features. Yeah, I could go on for a while, but obviously we'll wait until more information comes out. But definitely, if you're interested in VR, I think next fall is probably the best time to jump in, especially if you have a PS5 already. So look out for that. And yeah, besides that, kind of a shorter episode this week, but still some pretty big topics. Once again, I want to remind you to leave any comments or, suggestions or any topics like that in the comment section down below. Of course, also in our Discord as well. And yeah, with that being said, we'll see you on the next episode 16 of Critically Incorrect. Take care.
See you later.